just because you really want to make sure that that home is something that we're really preparing ourselves for and saving for. And so that's what I really think you should create a budget and create a financial plan and talking to someone who can do that for you.
Most definitely.
Dream Home Hunter Deep Dive.
All right, thanks. Today I have talking with me Meagan Pratt. We have the same name because this is my daughter. She is a financial planning analyst at Pedalo Financial. Thanks for sitting with a little bit, Meagan. If you will, let people know how you got started.
Absolutely. So I started with Pedalo Financial a few years ago. He actually found me. I was still in my engineering world. That's actually where my professional career started. I'm a petroleum engineer. Mm-hmm. I was a reservoir engineer for a little bit, as well as in the field. Philip had always asked if this was something I wanted to do, and I kind of blew him off for a bit. I was still kind of building that other part of my career, and I guess he just kind of caught me on a good day or a bad day, depending on how you look at it. But it's really something that has always kind of been in my background. My financial literacy came from my family and my parents, and kind of growing that into my first business, rolling that into what I know today. Obviously now that it is my profession, is something that has exploded, and it's, way bigger than what I ever expected it to be, but it's been great so far.
Fantastic.
Being inside the oil and gas industry, it really showed me that if you don't know how to manage $1,000, you don't know how to manage $10,000. That, idiom is very true in life. But also the concept, we work with people who have $40,000 a year, $400,000 a year, $4 million a year. It carries through everything, and we always have that step with people to really get them to where they want to go, wherever they're started today.
We'll talk about, one of the reasons we came on is we're going to talk about how to afford your dream home. But for people that aren't familiar, we talk about the title, but kind of break down, like on a third grade level, what does a financial planning analyst do?
Yeah, so as a financial planner, we really want people come in for all sorts of reasons. So we really just want to make sure that you can kind of have that trade-off between living your life today, but also taking care of your future self. So we really take where people are at in their current financial position, whether that be debt or some goals or, wanting to buy a home is usually always one of those steps that people have. And then we really kind of plan that out for the future to make sure that we're taking care of you for retirement, those longer term goals, kids' education, and all that. So we're really there for individuals as well as businesses to be able to do that.
Right. Thanks. Awesome. And we have 5 basic bullet points. We're going to break down how to afford your dream home, and I'll go over the first one and have you give us the professional understanding of that. So one of the first bullet points we talked about was, how do you decide if it's a forever home or investment property, or what is that process start with?
Yeah, everybody thinks about buying their first home, and everybody's on Zillow and on Pinterest and looking at all these things. But there's also this underlying understanding that a lot of people won't stay in their first home, that they will need a bigger home for a growing family, or they want to turn that into an investment property. But we really like to have people look at, is this going to be a forever home, which is an emotional purchase, versus is this going to be an investment property, which is all about the numbers, right? So we really have to make sure, what is your end game? That's something that we always talk about. And we want to make sure that you are on the right track to hit those goals. So really decide, do you want to be a landlord? Do you want to flip that house and do the renovations? Is that, in your investment plan? We see it a lot, but it's not for everybody, and that's okay. You can definitely build wealth in other ways. So if this is just kind of a forever home, a legacy home that you want to pass through to generations, the criteria for those two things are very different.
Understood.
So it's kind of the first thing, really understanding, is that the track that you're on? Is that something you really want and it's important to you? Right.
And then we'll move on to the second. We said step 2, decide what's important. What does that process mean?
I think when you're looking at a home, you really have to decide what's important to you. Do you like to entertain? Do you want to have a place for the kids to be active, throughout the house? Do you want to have a big backyard? Do you have a lot of dogs? everybody's different. Everybody's home is different. And I think you need to take that into consideration when you're looking for your dream home.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And then we'll move on when we're talking about how to afford your dream home. And one of the third steps we talked about was have a vision for upgrades and renovations. I got to break that down for us.
Yeah, you definitely want to know what you really want the house to look like once you've moved in, right? Are you going to paint a door, which might be something that you could do yourself, or do you want to knock out a few walls, which could be a little bit more invasive, as well as time consuming, as well as expensive, right? So your dream home and kind of what you want to have that vision for what is that going to cost you and what is the most important. What can you do yourself? Painting a couple walls versus painting the entire exterior of a house to make it, something that you really want. We really want you to break those down so you know the difference between this is something I can do and I can afford, and I can really make this house something I love, versus that might be something that's out a little too far out of reach for something that you can do.
Most definitely. And then the fourth of our fifth points, we talked about cover financial basics. What are those basics that you want to think about when trying to figure out if you can afford your dream home?
Yeah, when you take on a home, you're taking on so much more than just the mortgage. You are liable for all the things that can come up. If the water heater goes out, if there's damage to the plumbing, the roof, all those things you're now liable for. So we really want to make sure that you have an emergency fund set aside for those things that could pop up out of nowhere. We want to make sure that your debt is under control, your monthly cash flow is enough to make sure that if anything pops up again, you're taken care of. You can take care of the home insurance, all of those things. So we want to make sure that you are covering your financial basics just in every little spot. So that way, when you jump into this new part, you're not totally overwhelmed with the things that can come up, especially with just moving in general. So
right, exactly. And one of the last steps when we talk about how to afford your dream home, we said set up a plan or budget. What do we mean by that? Really,
and that's where planners come into play, is we want to make sure that we're taking you from where you're at right now and getting you to that dream home. So what does that look like? What do you need to be putting aside each month and still, live your day-to-day life? And it might take longer than that. I think a lot of people are surprised with just how long it can take to really get you in that position to be able to get a home that you really enjoy. It's not always about saving like that percent number, or it's not always about that. There's just things we want you to take into account. But I think everybody can benefit from having a plan, and maybe you are a little bit more restrictive on the things that you don't need every single day, like grabbing that extra coffee or that vacation this year, just because you really want to make sure that the home is something that we're really preparing ourselves for and saving for. And so that's what really think you should create a budget and create a financial plan and talking to someone who can do that for you.
Most definitely. All right. All great points for what people may think about consciously, but that having a definite list of what to go down to about affording your dream home is definitely beneficial, more than just keeping those ideas in your head, and makes it something a lot more concrete. So on a separate note, like if you had a dream client you'd like to work with, who do you think that would be?
My dream client, we work with a lot of athletes, a lot of football and baseball players right now, but I really like to see us expand into women's sports as well as esports with gamers. I think that's just a whole nother level of things that are coming up through the next generation. So I'd really like to work with some of those clients as well.
A lot of people, including myself, until I looked into it, don't realize how big a lot of women's sports and esports as a whole is, which also includes a lot of women as well. So that'd be a really cool client to have with. And since we started in the food industry and spent a lot of time there, I always like to end with the food questions. So where's a place that you've been looking forward to eating lately that you've been missing that you want to go?
A place that I've been looking forward to, we actually just went to a place last night. We tried Black Walnut, which is a new place over in Deep Deuce off of Walnut and 6th, I believe. But it was really good. They have a great little patio over there. They had tomahawk pork chops and
Nice.
all that good stuff. So
I've driven by
check
there.
it out.
Haven't had a chance to check it out as well, though. So once again, thanks for sitting with us. Meagan Pratt, Pedlo Financial. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dream Home Hunter Deep Dive, a Keith Pratt collaborative.